For the last many years, our group has been filling out the application to purchase voter registration information. And from about April timeframe of this year, we have been noticing we're missing information like the disposition of ballots and large sections of voting information like who voted in what election. We can talk more about this in our committee. On to the EVAS. The EVAS report is due. It is going to be worked on here shortly. Memorandum 24-230 from the Secretary of State from December 3rd. December 13th, the county must provide the Secretary of State with the point of contact who will answer the specific EVAS questions to the Secretary of State. On January 13th, the county responses must be completed on the EVAS report. And February 3rd, the final state data is due to the EAC, Election Accountability Commission, from the Secretary of State, which means that's the published date. Election Integrity Project has sent a letter of intent to sue several counties for vote-by-mail ballots with the punched hole in the envelope. Kern County has also the punched hole in the envelope. I don't know if we're being sued yet or not. Your actions violate Article 2, Section 7 of the California Constitution, which states that, quote, voting shall be secret, unquote. The Elections Code, Division 19, Chapter 3, Article 1B2, also states the system shall preserve the secrecy of the ballot. And finally, the 5-year report that Chairman Couch asked for back on the 23rd of January of this year is way past due on 5-year removals.
We will continue to share what has happened in Greenfield. In 2016, GSUD Trustee Area C voters elected Dr. Ricardo Herrera as the trustee for Area C of the district. He has served continuously and been re-elected since that time. In the recent November 5, 2024 election, Dr. Herrera ran against Mercy Pena for the GSUD Trustee Area C position. As reported by the Kern County Elections Department website, the current vote count is 1,012 votes for Ms. Pena and 1,004 votes for Dr. Herrera. On December 3, 2024, counsel for the respondent, Deputy County Counsel Stephanie Bowie, notified GSUD Council, Schools Legal Service, that the respondent discovered 108 voters were incorrectly assigned to GSUD Area C that should have been assigned to Area D. This is a letter from Stephanie Bowie, date December 3, 2024. Hi, Abby. I'm following up on our call this morning. Kern County Elections discovered 108 voters were assigned to the wrong trustee area in the Greenfield District, USD Area C race, and were incorrectly allowed to vote in that race. All affected voters should have assigned to trustee Area D. The two candidates in this race are separated by less than 10 votes at the most a recent count. We have confirmed that the Kern County Elections Council, official, must certify the election results by Thursday, December 5, absent a court order. At this time, we have spoken with your office, each candidate, and we left a voicemail with the school district regarding this situation and the relevant deadlines. Well, it's given how close this race is in Area C. The recent news are responding improperly attributing votes to the incorrect trustee area. Petitioner has no choice but to file this petition to seek to preserve the integrity of this election.
The petitioner is informed and believes that the respondent will certify this election as accurate on December 5th, 2024, which has already passed, regardless of these improperly attributed votes. Should the respondent certify the election results when 108 votes were attributed incorrectly, the respondent will violate education code, election codes, including the sanctity and fairness of the Greenfield Unified School District's chosen and adopted election process. Respondent is a county department and subject to following the law, including its own policies, rules, procedures, in addition to statutory and other law. Respondent has a clear present ministerial and legal duty to certify the election results that comport with the legal requirements of these statutes, including the Education and Election Code sections cited above. The petitioner seeks to prevent the respondent from abusing its authority and discretion, refusing to follow the legal requirements for this election, and acting in an arbitrary and capricious manner. Respondent will abuse its discretion by certifying the results on December 5th, which has already passed, under the circumstances presented in this case. Respondent's abuse of discretion threatens to cause petitioner harm and harms the current candidates who have run for that office, the integrity of its election process, the governance of the district going forward, the public and constituents of the Greenfield Unified School District. Petitioner has no plain, speedy, or adequate remedy at law regarding respondents' failures to adhere to the law, nor the relief sought by this petition for writ of mandate. The petitioner has an actual present controversy with respondent regarding the potential certification of improper and unlawful election results.
Petitioner brings this original action for declaration of the party's rights and duties, given the respondent has stated its intent to certify the results of December 5th without following the law regarding who is eligible to vote. Respondent seeks declaratory judgment or order addressing the following controversies and legal questions. A, whether respondent can certify votes that he knows were improperly attributed to the incorrect trustee district of the Greenfield Union School District in contravention of the Educational Code and the Election Code. Whether the respondent has a legal ministerial duty to postpone the clarification to allow it to release the 108 votes and attribute them to the proper trustee area of GUSD. C, whether respondent has a legal obligation to conduct a recount at its own expense due to the late discovery error in the voting basis upon trustee areas. This declaration is necessary and appropriate at this time, so a petitioner may ensure the integrity of the trustee's election. Concerned citizens request the Board of Supervisors to enter into dialogue with County Council to ascertain the appropriate steps to formally rescind Ordinance G-6050, 1994 before the next election cycle of 2026. This ordinance is responsible for the consideration of 3 separate official functions that no longer serve this county: Kern Auditor Controller, Kern County Clerk, and Registrar of Voters.
Concerned citizens are aware that the Elections Office has failed again to manage county data in regards to maintaining the area maps of the candidates and holding accurate elections. We would like the Board of Supervisors to begin serious discussion over the Auditor, Controller, Clerk, Registrar of Voters, and return to a 2-lead position in a positive action to enable dedicated focus in the best practices, accuracy, and saving financial burdens placed on the county. The current lawsuit was filed, Petitioner Greenfield Union School District versus Kern County Elections Division. Petitioner Greenfield Union School District, GSUD, or petitioner hereby respectfully petitions the court to issue a writ of ordinary mandate pursuant to the California Code of Civil Procedures, Section 1085, and issue the declaration judgment under California Code Civil Procedure, Section 1060 of the California Code of Civil Procedure, directing the county elections divisions to refrain from certifying an election result for the Board of Trustees of the GSUD due to improper, unlawful votes being cast per Elections Code Sections 15372. Respondents must certify the vote no later than the date of December 5, 2024, and cannot be allowed to do so when the improper and unlawful votes have been cast. I encourage the board to stop throwing money at the symptoms and address the problem by separating the auditor, controller, county clerk from the register of voters to give ultimate attention to our vote.
So the item before you this morning, Board, is, as you mentioned, to declare the results official.
What is the meaning, by the way, what is the meaning of that? Or is that just a sort of a public notification, or does declaring it official have a legal ramification? That might be for Margot.
Chairman Couch, the statute that your agenda item is being brought before you is the Elections Code, Section 15400. The governing body shall declare elected or nominated to each office voted on at each election under its jurisdiction the person having the highest number of votes for that office, or who was elected or nominated under the exceptions noted in Section 15452. The governing body shall also declare the elections of each election under its jurisdiction as to each measure voted on at the election. So you are declaring those that have been elected or nominated for those that are under your jurisdiction.
And what's the legal ramification of declaring that?
It means that people are then, can be certified to take office, oaths can be administered, and people become eligible to be seated.
That can't be done based on the Registrar of Voters certifying it.
So the Registrar of Voters also issues what's called a certificate of election. That's a slightly different thing. That just, not just.
Notification.
Yeah, but the Registrar of Voters gets a certificate of election, and that, there's some confusion because certifying the election and certificate of election sound somewhat similar, but they're actually slightly different. So with the certifying the election that then is declared by you, keeps the process of going forward. Once it was realized that there were errors that had been made, the Secretary of State was contacted about should things be put on hold or pause buttons.
So
And-
the Secretary of State was contacted and asked, how do we handle this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Secretary of State, the Chief of Elections employee of the California Secretary of State replied, although an error was made on certain ballots for the local school district trustee election, there is no authority in the Elections Code for your county to not certify the election. Any such action would require a court order.
And subsequent to that is when this action was filed?
So yes, it's my understanding that then the Greenfield Union School District filed, it's called a petition for a writ of mandate. It's asking the court to, in essence, kind of make a direction or to issue an order. That was filed. It was filed on the 4th. Ms. Espinoza, in keeping with state law, certified the election on the 5th. This writ of mandate was heard by the Superior Court on the 6th, and the judge denied this writ because of finding that it was moot because the election had already been certified. I wasn't at the proceedings, so I've had a number of reports. Did not say that the Greenfield Union School District lacked standing, but questioned whether the school district had standing or whether that an action was better brought by an individual, an elector, somebody who can vote. And it's my understanding that the school district was invited or encouraged to file an amended petition. But I haven't seen that. I have been communicating with the lead counsel for the school's legal services, working out, discussing options. There's statutes that provide for what I'm just referring to as a post-certification process where you contest the outcome of the election. And in this case, most likely it would be a special election.
What's the process to make that happen? Do we have to do something? Does the court direct us to do it? How does it come to be?
So it varies from the different types of entities, like within a special district or a hospital district, your board can be asked to call for a special election. I haven't been able to find that exact language related to school districts, but certainly a court could order that a special election occur.
If we made a mistake, how do we ensure that we're not making someone else pay to fix it?
If the party who brings the request for the special elections, if the court determines that a mistake was made, they can recover their costs and fees.
If we're calling a special election, when I say we, it's the royal we, if we're being required to do that because the mistake was made, who can then run? Anyone that's in that district or in that area? Or can it be, is it just the two that were on the ballot previously when the mistake was made?
I think that's something we may have to look into. I don't know if that's something that a court could order to redo just with the existing candidates.
Because
Yeah,
those
I
two,
can't speak on that.
I think there are two candidates in this. I don't know them. I just know there's two. It seems like they did everything right. Doesn't matter who won. They did what they were supposed to do to get on the ballot and run their campaign, and the results are what they are. The district, I guess, did what they were supposed to do. The mistake appears to be on our end. Are we right about that?
Correct.
So if we declare the results official, that doesn't preclude us from fixing the problem. That's really the question. If we take this action, can we still?
Yes, there can be a contest, there's still grounds for a contest to contest the election.
How do we give the people that were involved in this, the district, the candidates, and the voters in that area, the assurance that today's action is not the end and that we're going to make that right? If that's what needs to be done, then that's what we'll do. How do we do that?
Well, partly because of what the Secretary of State's office said is that the recourse or it would require a court action or a court order in order to building on the county has to certify the elections. The board then declares the elections. The local court found that has already happened, so he couldn't stop the election from being certified, but a subsequent petition could have the court, will have the court likely rule there needs to be a fix, and that fix would be, it would come in under the elections codes under probably section 16100, which is the grounds or causes for contesting the election. And and the county is not going to contest or actively fight that in court. A mistake was made. The county owns that a mistake was made. So we just have to go through the process to fix that mistake.
And courts typically do that quickly.
Anything with elections is heard in a very expedited fashion.
So it could be that by next Tuesday, we know what the court has ruled?
Quite possibly, yes.
So could you agendize for next Tuesday a discussion of this so we know, so people can hear it again and understand what the court's ruled, if they have, and what to expect going forward?
We can do that.
Is that okay? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, first off, I do want to mention that we're not the only county who has had this.
I understand.
And we strive for excellence in all of my divisions. Perfection is unattainable. Anyone who's tried to make everything perfect. An election is a huge undertaking any election and maintaining the voter rolls. And week after week, we have people coming up who make disparaging remarks towards my department and the services that we provide to this community. And it's very disheartening. People who have no idea what it actually takes to run elections are constantly looking for errors for the areas where we don't reach perfection. And my staff works very hard, very hard. Long hours away from their families, trying to serve our Kern County residents, the voters. And so I just wanted on record here at today's meeting that I fully stand behind my staff. Do errors occur? Yes, it's human error. It happens. Do we get on it right away and try to correct things as quickly as possible? Yes. In this instance, we were ready to certify on the 3rd, but I waited until the 5th, made that decision so that we could give Greenfield an opportunity to get before a court, and if an order was made, we were already looking at how do we present these results to your board if we had to exclude that. Timing of it, I didn't have a court order in hand. I had to certify the results. I had to. As you mentioned, as Margot mentioned, after these proceedings, if another election is called, my office is more than happy to redo that. We understand that it was an error on our part. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to pick and choose which elections we're going to rerun. I am bound by the laws of California. And again, I stand behind our work. It's not perfect. It's a lot. And we make every effort to make sure that the voters of Kern County have accurate results and our processes are transparent.
Well, let me end with this. It certainly, if it was taken as a disparaging comment to you or your department, it certainly wasn't meant to be. In my opinion, or what I was attempting to do here today, is simply let people know in terms that I feel like they can understand, because when we start talking about legal and government codes, you start to lose me a little bit. I just think people need to understand that, yeah, well, a mistake was made. We know that. We're not trying to point fingers. What we're trying to do is let people know, here's how we're going to move forward and fix the mistake. So I hope it came off that way. If it didn't, I sincerely apologize for that.
Well, my remarks weren't necessarily for
Understood.
your board.
I got you. Thank you for that. I want to make sure that we allow others to speak to this item.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Ricardo Herrera, Herrera, and I'm one of the parties involved in the discussions regarding the Greenfield Union School District race. Good morning. Let me begin by saying something important about the timeline. Mrs. Espinoza just mentioned the fact that she accorded Greenfield Union School District on December the 3rd the opportunity to bring in a question of the lawsuit. Her office was made aware of this error, quote-unquote error, on Monday, November the 25th. That's 10 days before the actual certification of the election. I brought it before.
You brought it to their attention?
I brought it to their attention on Monday, November the 25th.
Thank you.
To keep those timelines in perspective. Moreover, did she contact Dr. Shirley Weber up in Sacramento? As far as I know the timeline, Dr. Weber has till Friday, December the 13th, and not today's December the 10th, to actually certify California's election. Why didn't she actually ask for an extension, knowing that these numbers were actually in question? And so I'm concerned about the integrity of the election. All four of you up there, Perez, Peters, Couch, Flores, you guys are going to be up for re-election soon. You guys could be finding yourself on this side of where I'm standing too. You want to make sure, let's take away the Democrat, the Republican perspective aside. You want to make sure that there's integrity in the election regardless of how you vote. Amen. Yes, and so, I'm a Democrat, far left liberal, and in 2020, when Donald Trump claimed that there was voter irregularity across the country, people who are dead who are voting, people brushed it aside, said he was just embellishing the truth. Well, I'm living through it right now. As I was curing letters, as I know that the Perez campaign was curing letters throughout my district. Her district covers my area. I found a person who said, I went to a home, and they told me twice that person already died. I hadn't even brought that up as a concern. But this is basic fourth grade math. Officially, quote unquote, Espinoza claims that I lost by 8 votes, according to she wants to certify this election. But you do the math, 108 people who shouldn't have partaken in this process actually did. And they call it an error or a voter discrepancy. But if you go on those 108 doors that are out there, how many actually voted knowing that they shouldn't have voted because they voted in trustee D? That's fraud. That's not irregularity, right? So I hope that you guys have a spine. You guys are all 4 elected officials. Do not adhere to what Ms. Espinoza requested, a quote-unquote just a formality in the election, and don't raise your hand and vote. Don't certify this election yet. And one last thing I'll say too, I don't think that we should be wasting taxpayers' money with the legal counsel when we're going out to court trying to defend this case. It's indefensible. You know, the county's in a budget hole. Don't waste taxpayers' money on this thing.
I don't think I heard you say that you were going to defend the county in this case. You have to work with the courts in this case because there's a lawsuit that the county's named in. Correct?
That's correct. The county recognizes that a mistake was made and will move forward to fix it. It's just that the way that the laws are written, we can't just say, oh, here's what we're going to do. We need to have a court order direction in order to do that. But we're not planning on going to court and fighting the petition. We're just, if a court told us today, here's what you need to do, I'm confident that Ms. Espinoza and her staff would move in that direction.
Okay, so based on your comments, Ms. Raison, you said that the first writ was unsuccessful. Do we anticipate a second writ, or has there been a second one filed?
I haven't seen one, and I'm sorry, I just received an email about we've been trying to schedule a meeting with schools legal counsel to try to figure out if they're the best way to move forward. But it's my understanding that a subsequent writ was going to be filed, but I have not seen it.
Okay,
so I don't know if the school
We think a
has.
new one will be filed. We think.
I can't speak on behalf of the school district,
Okay,
but
because
that was my
otherwise this will be a
understanding.
moot point unless there's a secondary writ.
Quite likely.
I just want to emphasize that for the people that have standing, and Dr. Herrera has been harmed. I empathize with him, but the way to move forward is to not certify because we lack that ability based on your comments. So the way to move forward for the ultimate correction, which he's due, and like you reiterated, we're not going to oppose. We want to correct. So the second step that's necessary is a second writ with someone who has standing.
Correct.
Not to guide them, but just to inform for the public.
Correct.
We are general counsel for Greenfield Union School District. Our goal, and certainly we will engage in further discussions with Ms. Raison. We're not trying to come to resolution in front of the public at this moment. If it's necessary to file a second petition, we will. Our hope is to be able to come to a resolution, a settlement, to be able to get this to the place where it needs to be, to make sure that a special election can be held so that the integrity of the election process can be met. Because right now, the election for the trustee for Area C, that election was not held in a fair manner. So that is the goal. Hopefully, it can be resolved expeditiously. As Supervisor Couch mentioned, you would like to see it on the agenda for next Tuesday. We moved heaven and earth to be able to have a writ and a hearing on that writ held last week. As was mentioned previously, we were notified of this situation approximately 10 a.m. last Tuesday. We were able to get all of the pleadings filed on Wednesday on this very complicated situation. The very first day we were able to get a hearing before the court on an emergency petition was Friday. So that was how this moot situation arose, was because the day that the county elections had to certify it was on Thursday. So that's how we ended up in this tangled situation of the county elections not having a court order in hand to prevent the certification happening on Thursday, which left the judge in a position of not having a remedy to give us because the remedy we had requested in that very expeditious filing that we did was moot. They didn't have something that they could give us based off of our filing because the court, with their filing, timing for filing, could not get us in before Friday morning. So that's why we're at where we're at today with not having something before the court right now that they can grant us relief on. So that's why my hope in discussions with county council is, can we come to an agreement, a stipulated court order, or something of that nature, so that we can move forward on this? If we can't, we will work together. Ms. Razon and I have a good working relationship. If we can't do that, we will do what needs to be done to be able to resolve this issue. Requiring us to file additional court paperwork, we have to spend money. That costs money. Greenfield's one of the poorest school districts in the county. Causing us to spend additional money on their behalf takes money away from a very poor school district. So that's just a factor to take into consideration. So we will do what has to be done within legal means to be able to allow a fair and equitable election to take place so that voters in trustee area C can have the board trustee candidate that they want to represent them. And that's what the district wants, and we will do whatever's necessary to see that that is done. But the finances are a factor for the district.
Thank you for that. So just to make sure I understood you, and everybody understood you, Supervisor Flores asked the question, has another writ been filed? The answer to that is not yet.
Not yet.
You would like to file, if you have to, or come to a stipulated agreement or judgment with county council?
That would be my preference because it wouldn't be incurring the additional costs. And even if we were able to file something with the court today, the timing of being able to get a hearing with the court would be in the same situation of a timing factor. And other additional.
Do you need to talk with our county council about that, or is there another person in your office that can do that while she's here today?
We are trying to get a meeting set up, and it will be either tomorrow or Thursday is what we're working through with our calendars. It's Margot Rizon and head of her legal
Well,
department.
you're not that far
Andrew.
apart right now. I'm thinking you can just get it done while we're here.
We're really,
close, I
yeah,
believe.
we've spent a lot of time communicating. I also have Assistant County Counsel Kendra Graham looped in on this, and the reason I had to ask you
And
to
she's
repeat
upstairs.
the question was I was sending an email saying that if maybe, because I'm not available today, that Kendra could run with it.
Thank you.
Just so I understand a couple of things that we talked about, I know your concerns with, financially trying to file another writ and some of those concerns, but am I correct, this question would be for county council, it was determined that the school district wasn't the appropriate party to bring this forward, so wouldn't it be, I don't know, one of the candidates or even the county itself saying, hey, we noticed this issue and therefore we're asking the court to make a ruling on that, and rather than the school district itself being the one filing for that writ?
It's my understanding that the court did not specifically rule on that, but suggested that that was a concern that the court had.
Okay, but would that be something that the county could do and say, hey, we noticed this issue, there's this discrepancy, so we're asking ourselves for guidance from the court on how we should proceed legally?
We're exploring that as one of the possibilities.
Okay.
That we can bring it.
Okay, I appreciate it. And then my other question, I think, would be for Ms. Espinoza. Or maybe somebody else can answer this, but who noticed this discrepancy initially? I mean, who was the one that caught this and brought this to the public's attention?
I did.
Mr. Hara, okay.
Monday, November the 25th.
Okay, thank you.
Earlier, the question has been raised as to somebody has to have legal standing, somebody who's been affected. I went to the county yesterday, told me it's $435 to file to join the application. They're supposed to provide me the paperwork today. I said, I'll pay, even though I'm not responsible, $435, so they could add standing to this, to the affected party. And so that's what they told me. So if you need $435 off me, I'll pay it today, and you guys need to resolve this.
Do we have a reason to not certify the election today?
No.
Okay. These people can resolve their matters and have it adjudicated in a timely fashion with the judge, very likely going to result in a special. And it would have, we are not perfect people. That is none of us. So it seems like that is a reasonable solution, and it seems like we can now move to certify the election.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Declare the
Okay, I'm going to make a motion on staff's recommendation to declare whatever it is the legal statement of what it is we're doing here. But on this, number 11, so moved.
Yeah, we're declaring. Yeah, it's a declaration. Second.
The motion is to approve staff's recommendation. Supervisor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Would you accept that?
That sounds perfect.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak to this item?
I just wanted to mention, I really appreciate both sides that are working on this, and I think we're going to come to a good resolution, but once you get mired in court, it takes a lot of money. So I appreciate Dr. Ricardo Herrera, too, because we've been trying to help get him elected, but I think you're all trying to do the right thing, so I appreciate that. And I know I've been to a lot of meetings, and I've heard Aimee, and I know that her group's been working really hard, and I commend them for that, too. And I see the other side, too, with Dr. Ricardo, that we've worked really hard. I do think election integrity needs to be maintained if there's a mistake where 108 votes in the wrong district. So I think you guys are doing the right thing. But he is an incumbent. He lost by 8 votes, and we've been working really hard to try to get that, to get him elected. All of you know that have run in an election how important election integrity is here and the stature of election integrity. So I think it's important for those of you who are governed by the election education board to believe in the integrity. It could affect the board in so many ways, and I'm looking at not only is it affecting, those 108 voters that got in the wrong district, what about the district that, they should have been voting in? So it looks to me like there could be more than, unfortunately, more than just Dr. Ricardo's, his election that might have been affected. So it's like a quagmire that just keeps getting deeper and growing bigger. So I think I appreciate all of you guys that are trying to get this worked out. But we need to do the right thing, and especially in today's election, integrity is probably the most important thing to keep in mind. So thanks.
My name is Ramon Hendricks. I'm the superintendent here in Greenfield Union School District. I had some prepared comments, but I think everyone has spoken this morning about this situation. I would just offer a couple of clarifications about the election. The young lady who just finished speaking indicated it may affect other trustee area elections in Greenfield. Greenfield has 5 trustee areas. We only had 1 election. The other 2 ran unopposed, so this doesn't affect any other trustee areas, but it does affect Area C. That's one clarification.
That's the first good news we've had today. Thank you.
Yes. The second thing is, from a district's perspective, there is a timeline involved. I have an organizational meeting that is scheduled less than 10 days from now, where I'm supposed to seat the incumbent, reseat the incumbent, or seat the new board member. And I have confidential business, I have financial decisions to make to keep the district running, so it's imperative that a decision or a plan is developed rather quickly, and I appreciate your support in making that happen this morning. There was a question about court fees and attorney fees and fees to the candidate that can become expensive if we keep this ball rolling, so I'm hopeful that we can get this situation resolved quickly. Our priority is accuracy of the election results, transparency and fairness for the people in Area C, and making sure we have integrity in the 2024 election for Greenfield Union School District. I'm available for any questions that you have. Otherwise, thank you for your time this morning and your consideration of everything that has been said.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Supervisor Perez, would you accept a little addition to the motion?
Depends on what it is.
Well,
What are we talking about, Kev?
Well, I want people to leave here knowing that not only did we vote to declare the results official, I think that's the term, but that we're also directing our staff to minimize, if not eliminate, costs to the affected parties, be they district candidates, whomever.
That is so thoughtful. Thank you, Chair. Absolutely,
Okay.
happily. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
You second that? Okay. Any other comments before we vote?
If the votes were voted by incorrectly assigned voters, should it not just be null and void on that one race?
Courts will do it.
Just a thought.
If it may please the chairman, I would like to make just one point of clarification. Our ROV made a comment basically somewhat aimed, I think, in our direction. We're not here to throw spitballs at the elections department. We're not here to disparage the personnel that work with the elections department, the fine job that they're trying to do. What we're doing is we point out deficiencies that need correction. And you can't fix something if you can't identify it and bring it to term. So I just want to point that out. We're not here to disparage the elections department.
No other speakers? We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you.